Okay, it's recording.
All right.
Okay.
Kathleen Kelly and her mother, Celia Kelly, have raised your children, and if this precious resource is killed by a cold cash cow of Fox Books, it will be the end of Western civilization as we know it, but the end of something even more dire. Our neighborhood as what will save the shop around the corner, and you will Frank, let's start it.
You think it's a little over the top?
Just say thank you.
Thank you.
Channel 2's outside.
Interior, back room, the shop around the corner, same time. Kathleen is primping in a tiny wall mirror. She takes a deep breath.
In a second.
Village Voice is coming.
Oh my god. Ugh.
Frank sticks his head in.
It's him.
Who?
God. It's God.
Interior, shop around the corner, continuous. Kathleen comes out of the storage room. William Spungen is standing there.
I'm William Sponge.
Well, I'm very pleased to meet you. I'm Kathleen Kelly.
Frank is practically levitating.
I knew your mother, although she knew me only as W. That enormous bookstore is obscene.
I'm Frank Nowitzki. I carry your picture in my wallet.
He pulls it out. Spungen looks at him like he's crazy.
We've organized pickets. Channel 13 is doing a special.
I'd be glad to talk to the press if it's all right with you. They've been trying to interview me for years.
The press? I'm the press.
You'd allow that? For me? For the store? That's incredible. Although you wouldn't have to be photographed. I mean, I respect that. If it's television, they could just put one of those blurry dots in front of your face.
No television.
They're waiting for you.
I know all your books. Phelox from Nome, the little man who comes from nowhere and is going nowhere. Where did you come from? Nowhere. Where are you going? Nowhere.
Cool it. I'm starting to break out in hives. Here's my phone number.
I had no idea that William Spudgeon had a phone.
Adios.
He gives a little wave and leaves.
That is historic. Do you realize what I've done? By writing that piece, do you realize I've brought William Spungen in from the cold? Holy shit. I am completely amazing.
At that moment, a TV reporter sticks her head into the store.
Kathleen Kelly.
Kathleen takes a deep breath, walks out the door. Exterior shop around the corner a few minutes later.
Are you ready, Miss Kelly?
Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes.
What?
Never mind. I'm ready. Shoot.
Interior television screen that night.
We're here in front of the shop around the corner, the famous West Side Children's Bookstore, now on the verge of having to close its doors because the big bad wolf, Fox Books, has opened only a few hundred feet away, wooing customers with its sharp discounts and designer coffee.
They have to have discounts and lattes because most of the people who work there have never read a book.
And pull back now to reveal that we're in interior gym night. 5 TV sets are on over adjoining treadmills. Joe and Kevin are on 2 of the treadmills, walking and watching.
She's not as nice as she seems on television.
You've met her?
She's kind of a pill.
She's probably not as attractive as she seems on television either.
No, she's beautiful. But she's a pill.
So you don't feel bad about basically destroying her livelihood, not to mention her legacy, not to mention her raison d'etre?
It's not personal.
It's business.
Right, exactly.
They look up at the television. Interior television screen continuous. Joe on screen with a super Joe Fox, Vice President, Fox Books.
I sell cheap books, so sue me. I sell cheap books, and as a result, listen to this, because it's really bad. More people can buy books.
The show immediately cuts back to the newscaster on Joe and Kevin. That's what you said?
That's not all I said. I said, I can't believe those bastards. I said we were great. I said people can come and sit and read for hours and no one bothers them. I said we stock 150,000 titles. I showed them the New York City section. I said we were a goddamn piazza where people can mingle and mix and be.
A piazza?
I was elegant. Shit. It's just inevitable, isn't it? People are going to want to turn her into Joan of Arc.
And you into Attila the Hun.
Well, it's not me personally. It's more like it's the company.
And I have to say, I have met Joe Fox, who owns Fox Books, and I have heard him compare his store to a Price Club and the books in it to cans of olive oil.
On Joe, reacting. Exterior shop around the corner. A small rally is taking place with picket signs. Kathleen is standing on a small speaker's platform along with the borough president.
My mother used to say to me that every book you sell is a gift from the heart.
Exterior Fox Books Day. As 20 children march in front of the store, holding little makeshift picket signs and singing songs. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't
We don't want
want
your
this superstore.
superstore. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Customers go right through the line and into the store. Interior Fox Books Superstore Day. We can hear the pickets marching and singing outside, although the store is full of customers anyway. The Foxmen, Joe, Nelson, and Skylar, are sitting in the cafe. Nelson is holding a copy of a weekly newspaper, which has the old high school yearbook picture of William Spungen on the front page and a headline. William Spungen emerges from hiding to support bookstore. Well, who is this Spungen guy anyway?
He's a writer.
I've never heard of him. Neither has anyone else in this place.
Interior TV set night. As we see Sydney Ann Strongen, a young and attractive PBS talk show hostess for a show called Inside Media.
The New York literary world was shocked this week when William Spungen, the most famously reclusive author since J.D. Salinger, announced that he was coming out of hiding because of his loyalty to a small children's bookstore on the west side of Manhattan. Discussing this tonight is a man I happen to think of as one of the city's most underappreciated assets, Frank Novinsky.
Thank you.
This all happened because of you, didn't it?
Well, I knew William Spungen loved children's books, so I wrote a provocative column.
Your specialty.
Oh, Frank laughs. Sydney Ann laughs.
We have fun. And it kind of smoked him out.
Interior Kathleen's bedroom night as she and Frank watch the television show.
Technologically speaking, the world's out of hand. Take the VCR. The whole idea of the VCR is that it makes it possible for you to tape what's on television for while you're out of the house. But the whole point of being out of the house is so that you can miss what's on television. Radio. Now there's a medium I can get behind.
Well, we're on television, and you're good at it.
Thank you.
Another little moment between them.
The bookstore. Tell us about it.
Are you planning on collecting radios?
Do you think I should?
The shop around the corner is a true New York treasure.
As are you. I'd love to have you back.
Anytime. Are we done?
Not at all.
Because I just want to say that the only show I do watch is yours.
Oh my God.
Hey, I was just being polite. Okay, I admit it. I slobbered all over her.
The show continues. Exterior shop around the corner, dusk, as we see Kathleen flip the open sign to closed. Interior shop around the corner, dusk. George is talking to Kathleen and Bertie, who's toting up the week's receipts.
And I can't decide whether to put the sausages in the meat sauce or just chopped meat. I mean, last time I made Detective Carter and I never even sat down for dinner because, and last night I made margaritas in the blender and I took the ice cubes and...
Spare us.
Please. George goes out the door. Bertie looks at Kathleen.
Don't tell me. Not the slightest difference?
Bertie can't bring herself to answer.
How could that be? All of this publicity and not one bit of difference? Bertie, what am I gonna do? What would mom have done?
Well, Kathleen, let's ask her.
She opens the locket hanging around her neck. There's a picture of Kathleen's mother inside of it. Bertie holds the locket up to her face.
Celia, what should we do?
Bertie holds the locket to her ear and listens. A pause.
Bertie,
Shh. She has no idea, but she thinks the window display is lovely. Good night, dearie.
Bertie smiles and picks up her shopping bag and goes out the door. Exterior, shop around the corner, night. It's starting to rain. Kathleen lowers the grate over the store. As she turns to walk away, William Spungen steps in her path out of the shadows.
my goodness. Hello, what are you doing here? What are you
Littering.
doing here?
Lurking, skulking, stalking.
He laughs. So does she. Dramatically, he whips out an umbrella and opens it over the two of them.
Well,
You look very beautiful.
tell me how pretty I look.
You look beautiful.
Thank you, but I'm a wreck.
He touches her cheek suddenly. Kathleen starts. Then he blows on his hand.
Eyelash. It's gone.
Kathleen relaxes. They start walking.
Are you writing another book?
Yeah, we're in the home stretch. I'll be done in approximately 6 more years.
Should I discount?
It's about a man on a quest for knowledge who meets a woman he cannot resist.
Well, if I discount, I have to fire someone because I can't discount with this overhead, but whom could I fire? I couldn't fire anyone. Or this
Spungen suddenly
headband
puts
either.
his hand through Kathleen's hair. She stops, frozen in place.
You have your mother's hair. Thick, wild, and the color of Nebraska wheat.
No, it's
He
not.
grabs her and tries to kiss her.
What are you doing? Let me go.
He backs her into a wall.
Stop it. Are you crazy? When does this happen in this movie?
She kicks him in the shins, wiggles free, and runs away.
Oh, I'm going to kick you in the nuts. Sorry, sir.
Well, if you change your mind, you can email me. Hermit@AOL.com.
Interior, computer screen, night. The mail form says 2, and Kathleen types in NY152. The form says RE, and Kathleen types in advice. Exterior, Kathleen's apartment, night. Rain is falling.
I need help. I do need a lot of help. Do you still want to meet? Oh, this is
Exterior,
not how.
Joe's apartment. Rain is falling. We hear the sound of the computer.
Where? When?
Interior,
Oh.
nut shop of Broadway, day. George,
Oh my
Kathleen, and Christina in
God.
the shop. Kathleen is buying more lollipops.
What? Okay. Let's get back into it. We're meeting in a public place.
Well, don't go anywhere with him. Don't even go on to the street with him afterwards. Get a dial cab to just sit there and wait for you.
Did you tell Frank?
There's nothing to tell.
But did you tell him?
He's away. It's at the 32nd anniversary of the Chicago 7 trial.
And he's gone to a place where there are no phones. Do you even know this guy's name?
Kathleen shakes her head. No.
Are you gonna meet him in a bar?
Not at a bar, that place at 83rd with the fucking cheesecake.
He will wear a flower in his lapel, and you will carry a copy of Anna Karenina with a rose in it.
No answer.
Oh God, no.
Not Anna Karenina, Pride and Prejudice. Duh, hello, have you met me?
Exterior, Fox Books, night. As Joe and Kevin walk out of the store and start downtown. I suppose she's carrying a copy of a book with a flower in it. Joe doesn't say anything. Not really.
Really?
Which Jane Austen is it?
Pride and Prejudice.
She could be a real dog.
I know. Look, I'll just stay 10 minutes. I'll say hello, drink a cup of coffee, and split. I'm out of here.
He looks at Kevin.
Walk me there, okay?
Exterior, 83rd Street, night. As the two men walk toward Cafe Lalo, the European cafe on West 83rd Street.
What if she has a really high, squeaky voice? I hate that. It reminds me of those mice in Cinderella.
What mice in Cinderella?
Gus Gus and oh shit, I can't remember the other one. Why am I compelled to meet her? I'm just ruining a good thing.
You're taking it to the next level. I always do that. I always take a relationship to the next level, and if it works okay, I take it to the next level after that until I can finally get to the level where it becomes absolutely necessary for me to leave.
I'm not going to stay long anyway. I already said that, didn't I? Christ, I'm a total wreck.
As they reach exterior Cafe Lalo Continuous, Joe stops and looks at Kevin.
Kevin, this woman is the most adorable creature I've ever come in contact with. If she turns out to be even as good looking as a mailbox, I will be crazy not to turn my life upside down and marry her.
She could be a real dog.
You go look.
Me?
Just go to the window and check her out.
You're pathetic. Kevin goes to the window and looks inside. Exterior Cafe Lalo night. Joe and Kevin in front. Kevin looks in the window.
See her?
There's a very beautiful girl,
Yes!
but no book. Let me see. Wait a minute. There's a book with a flower, so it must be her.
What does she look like?
There's a waiter blocking. I can't see her face. He's serving her a cup of tea, and she's putting in 3 spoonfuls of sugar.
Well, why shouldn't she?
No reason. Unless she has hypoglycemia. Oh, he's moving.
Can you see her?
Yes.
And?
She's very pretty.
She is? I knew she would be! She had to be!
She looks, I would say she has a little of the coloring of that Kathleen Kelly person.
Kathleen Kelly of the bookstore.
Well, why not? You said you thought she was attractive.
So what? Who cares about Kathleen Kelly?
Well, if you don't like Kathleen Kelly, I can tell you right now, you ain't gonna like this girl.
Why not?
Because it is Kathleen Kelly. Joe elbows Kevin aside and looks.
Oh, God.
What are you gonna do?
Nothing.
You gonna let her just wait there?
Yes. Yes, I am. That is exactly what I'm going to do. Why not?
But she wrote the letters.
Good night, Kevin. I'll see you tomorrow.
He walks away, leaving Kevin. Kevin stares after him, then he walks away in the other direction. Interior Cafe Lalo Continuous. Kathleen, sitting alone at a table for 2, is drinking her tea. She's starting to feel a little foolish. She checks her watch. A loud, boisterous group comes in and sits at the table next to hers. They're laughing. A man from the group grabs the empty chair at Kathleen's table.
I'm sitting here. Do you mind?
Yes, I'm expecting
Kathleen
someone.
jumps up.
Yeah, well, I'm expecting someone. No, please, leave it.
She takes the chair back, sits down again. She watches the group as they playfully fight over the menus. She checks her watch again. Then she opens her copy of Pride and Prejudice and looks at it. She can't focus. A man comes into the restaurant and she looks up hopefully at him, but he's going to meet another group of people. As he passes her table, he knocks the book and the flower onto the floor. He jumps up and rescues the book and flower as if they were precious china. In the window now, behind her, Joe appears. He watches as she rearranges the book and the flower. He disappears from sight. A beat. Then he walks in the door.
Kathleen Kelly? Hello. What a coincidence. Mind if I sit down?
Yes, I do. I'm expecting someone.
Joe picks up her book, looks at it.
Pride and Prejudice?
Kathleen grabs it back.
Do you mind?
She places it back on the table, puts the rose in.
I didn't know you were a fan of Jane Austen. I didn't know you were a Jane Austen fan. Not that it's a surprise. I bet you read it every year. I bet you just love Mr. Darcy and that your sentimental heart beats wildly at the thought that he and whatever her name is are really honestly and truly going to end up together.
Would you please leave?
Joe sits down.
Please.
I'll get up as soon as your friend comes. Is he late?
The heroine of Pride and Prejudice is Elizabeth Bennet. And she is one of the greatest, most complex characters ever written. Not that you would know.
As a matter of fact, I've read it.
Well, good for you.
I think you'd discover a lot of things if you really knew me.
If I really knew you, I would know that I would find, instead of a brain, a cash register, and instead of a heart, a bottom line.
Kathleen is shocked at herself.
What is it?
I just had a breakthrough, and honestly, I have to thank you for it. For the first time in my life, when I was confronted with an insensitive person, that I actually knew what I wanted to say, and I said it.
I think you have a gift for it. It was a splendid mixture of poetry and meanness.
Meanness, let me tell
Don't
you.
misunderstand me, Miss Kelly. I'm just paying you a compliment.
He lifts the book off the table. Kathleen grabs for it.
Why are you doing this?
She manages to get the book, leaving Joe with the rose.
What have we here? A red, no, crimson rose tucked into the pages, something you read about in a book, no doubt. One of those books of a lady in a nightgown on the cover about to throw herself off a cliff.
She holds her hand out for it.
Give it to me.
Joe puts it between his mouth and his nose like a mustache.
It's a joke to you, isn't it? Everything's a joke to you.
She grabs the rose, puts it back in the book.
Please leave, I beg you. Oh man. I really wanted to stay straight through this entire scene, but I can't. All right.
He stands up, walks from the table, sits down at the very next table with his back to her. The door of the restaurant opens. Kathleen looks at it hopefully. A pleasant-looking man who's immediately joined by a pleasant-looking woman. For a moment, Kathleen looks just a little droopy, as if the wind has just gone out of her sails. She takes out her compact, looks into her mirror. She slides it over to look behind her, at him, just as he's looking sideways at her. He turns away suddenly. Then she blots her lipstick with her handkerchief.
You know what the handkerchief reminds me of? The first day I met you.
Oh man. The first day you lied to me.
I didn't lie to you.
You did too.
I did not.
I thought all that Fox stuff was so charming. F-O-X.
I never lied about it.
Joe, just call me Joe. As if you were one of those stupid 22-year-olds with no last name. Like, hi, I'm Kimberly. Hi, I'm Janice. What's wrong with them? Don't they know you're supposed to have whole last names? It's like their whole, an entire whole generation of cocktail waitresses.
She stops herself. It's a tangent she never meant to go off on. But Joe has stood up and seated himself back at her table.
I am not a stupid 22-year-old girl.
That's not what I meant.
And when I said the thing about the Price Club and cans of olive oil, that is not what I meant either.
Oh, you poor, sad multi-millionaire. I feel so sorry for you.
The door opens, and a large and very attractive transvestite in a boa comes in the door.
I'm going to take a wild guess and say that this isn't him either. Who is he, I wonder? Not, I gather, the world's greatest living expert on Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, but someone else entirely. Will you be mean to him too? Will you start out sweet as sugar and candy and then suddenly, miraculously, like a bolt from the blue, find that sharp little tongue of yours?
No, I won't. Because the man who is coming here tonight is completely unlike you. The man who is coming here is kind, and he's funny, and he has the most wonderful sense of humor.
But he's not here.
And if he is not here, he has a reason, because there is not a cruel or careless bone in his body. Now, I can't expect anyone like you to know anything about a person like that. You're nothing but a suit.
A beat. Joe gets up.
That's my cue. Good night, Miss Kelly.
Joe leaves the Lalo Cafe. Exterior Kathleen's apartment building. Later that night, Kathleen comes down the street. She drops the rose in the trash can. Interior Kathleen's apartment a minute later. Kathleen comes in, drops the book on the table, takes off her coat, and goes immediately to the computer. She clicks on American Online, waits impatiently to connect, looks with anticipation at the mailbox. On the computer screen, no mail. Hold on Kathleen as a tear starts down her face. She takes her handkerchief out of her sleeve and wipes her face and blows her nose, then looks at her handkerchief and tosses it over her shoulder. She goes over to the bed and turns it down and slips out of her shoes. Then she lies down on the bed fully clothed. She reaches up to turn out the light. Interior Joe's apartment night. As Joe turns on his closet light and hangs up his jacket, the computer is on the desk and the light on it illuminates the room. Patricia is in the next room eating matzahs.
So I said to her, if you think I will even talk to you about paying that kind of advice for an author whose last book is being used as trivets all over the world, you're completely crazy.
On Joe's face, barely bearing. Interior Fox Book Superstore day. As Kevin and Joe walk through the store. But underneath that disagreeable exterior, she could turn out to be
A real meanie head. Let's not talk about it. I'm going back to the office. You must have work to do.
not really. This place is humming like a top. Exterior shop around the corner day. As Kathleen comes around the corner, Christina is waiting.
What happened?
He never came.
He stood you up?
Interior shop around the corner as Kathleen puts her purse into the drawer.
I think something happened, something terrible and unexpected, and it made it impossible for him to.
George walks in.
What happened?
He wasn't able to make it.
He stood you up.
What could have happened?
George looks suddenly stricken.
Also, hold on, my light's turned off. Ugh. Okay, all right. Oh, it's my line, isn't it? Shit. Why didn't he come? Maybe he showed up. And maybe he took one look at me and then he left.
Not possible.
Maybe there was a subway accident.
Absolutely.
A train was trapped underground and he was still inside.
And no phone.
George continues to look stricken. He's starting to shake his head.
Or an automobile accident. Those cab drivers they're freaking maniacs.
They hit something and you slam right into that plastic partition.
You're not wrong. His elbows could be in splints, so he couldn't really dial.
Or he could be in the hospital with one of those semi-private rooms with
No phone.
They look at George, who is still shaking his head.
What?
George hands them a New York Post. They look at the cover. Cops nab rooftop killer.
First of all, never look at the Post. What are you saying?
It could be.
Dead silence.
He was arrested 2 blocks from the Cheesecake Place.
Is there a picture?
There it is. It's of a man with his jacket pulled over his head. They all look at it.
So that explains it.
He was in jail,
And there was a phone.
but he only got one call and he had to use it to call his lawyer.
You are so lucky.
You could be dead.
Are you crazy? This man couldn't possibly be the rooftop killer.
Remember when you thought Frank might be the Unabomber?
That was different.
How long did you sit there all alone?
Not that long. Joe Fox came in.
Joe Fox?
I don't want to talk about it. Let's get to work.
They look around. There's no one in the store and nothing to do. A pause.
That's some shit. I don't know. There must be something to do. There's always something to do.
They hear the jingle of the front door. They
Jingle,
look
jingle.
hopefully toward it. It's only Bertie.
He stood her up.
Hold on Kathleen as the computer sound begins.
I have been thinking of you. Oop, I'm going to turn off my video. I've been thinking of you, Joe. Um, last night I went to meet you and you weren't there. I wish I knew why. I felt so foolish.
Interior, Kathleen's apartment night. As she types, and we cut from her face to the screen as we hear a voiceover.
And as I waited, someone else showed up. A man who has made my professional life a misery. And an amazing thing happened. I was able, for the first time in my entire life, to say the exact thing that I wanted to say when I wanted to say it. And of course, afterwards, I felt terrible, just as you said I would.
Interior, Joe's apartment later. The email from Kathleen continues as Joe.
I was cruel, and I'm never cruel. And even though I can hardly believe what I said mattered to this man, to him, I'm just a bug to be crushed. But what if it did? No matter what he's done to me, there's no excuse for my behavior. Anyway, you are my dear friend, and so I so wanted to talk to you, and I hope that you have a good reason to. Oop, I'm skipping all of this shit. Rewind. I hope that you have a good reason for not being there last night, but if you don't, and if we never really connect again, I just want to tell you how much that it meant to me to know that you were there.
Joe sits there a second, a moment of intense ambivalence. Then he hits the menu key and signs off.
Pew doo 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 doo. Goodbye.
Joe stands and leaves the room. The computer sits there. Hold on the computer. We hear him open the refrigerator door. We hear him close the refrigerator door. He passes the din without even looking into it. A moment later, he comes back into the room, stares at the computer. He starts for the bedroom, changes his mind, circles the computer. He's gonna go cold turkey if it kills him. Fuck it. He sits down, signs on, starts to type.
I'm in Vancouver.
He stops, hits the delete button and erases the message. He starts typing again.
I was stuck in a meeting, which I couldn't get out of, and there was no phone.
He backspaces to erase there was no phone. Screen now reads, I was stuck in a meeting, which I couldn't get out of it. Joe sits there thinking for a moment, then he starts typing.
The electricity went out in the building, and we were trapped on the 18th floor, and the telephone system blew too.
He stops and looks at it, then he types.
Amazingly enough.
He sits looking at it. Then he deletes the whole thing. Sits looking at the blank screen.
What?
Say it.
Say it, Joe. Say it.
Say it.
Say it.
Say it. Say
Say
it.
it. Say it.
Fuck you!
Now go wash your mouth out with
Yes,
soap,
Fox.
man.
And he starts to type again.
For what happened. Oh, dear friend, cannot tell you what happened to me last night, but I beg you from the bottom of my heart to forgive me for not being there.
He deletes for not being there. Then types again after to forgive me.
For what happened. I feel terrible that you found yourself in a situation that caused you additional pain, but I'm absolutely sure that whatever you said last night was provoked, even deserved. And everyone says things they regret when they're worried or stressed. You were expecting to see someone you trusted and met the enemy instead. The fault is mine.
Exterior New York street day. As Kathleen and Christina walk down the street together.
Someday I'll explain everything. Meanwhile, I'm still here. Talk to me.
Did he say anything about the meeting again?
Not really. It doesn't matter. We'll just be like George Bernard Shaw and Mrs. Patrick Campbell and write letters our entire lives.
They go into an apartment building. Interior Bertie's apartment day. A large rent-controlled West Side apartment. Bertie is pouring tea. There's a plate of cookies. Christina's looking at the picture of Bertie as a young woman, dressed in a sort of Carmen Miranda getup.
Where was this taken, Bertie?
Sayville.
When you had the Thunderbolts?
Yes.
Thunderbolt?
Yes, the Thunderbolt. What did you decide, dearie?
Close. We're going to close.
Clothes?
Although it feels like such a failure, it feels like I'm quitting. It feels like, Mom,
She closes her eyes.
remember.
Bertie sits down in the love seat next to Kathleen, puts her arms around her. Hold on them.
Keeping the store open doesn't keep your mother alive, although sometimes I think we all think it does.
Christina looks over at the picture of Bertie.
Who was it, Bertie, that you had the thunderbolt over?
Bertie shakes her head. She's not going to tell them.
It's so romantic.
But it wasn't meant to be.
Why not?
He ran Spain.
Spain?
Spain. The country, he ran it. There was his job, and then he died. Just as well.
Also, I love that this
Interior.
is literally shot in the Lincoln Square Theater. So
Interior, the real Sony Lincoln Square Theater, night. As Frank and Kathleen go up the escalator on their way to a movie.
She fell in love with Generalissimo Franco?
don't say that. We don't know that for sure.
Who else could it have been? It was probably around 1960.
I mean, it's not like he was something normal, like a socialist or an anarchist or something.
It happened in Spain. People do really stupid things in foreign countries.
Absolutely. They go buy like leather jackets, they go and see flamenco, they ride in gondolas, they eat in restaurants where guitarists sing Mega Malanga Sola Rosa, but like they don't fall in love with like fascist dictators.
They enters one of the theaters. Interior theater continuous. As they find seats and sit down, a trailer's playing.
Bertie is a very kind person. She is practically my surrogate mother.
Well, she's out of her mind.
She is not.
I could never have been with anyone who doesn't take politics as seriously as I do.
The person in front of them turns around. Do you mind?
Oh, shit. A hot dog is singing. You need quiet while a hot dog is singing?
The two of them sit there.
I have something to tell you. I didn't vote.
What?
In the last mayoral election, when Rudy Giuliani, before he was a fucking vampire, was running against Ruth Messenger, I went to get a manicure and I forgot to vote.
Since when do you get manicures?
Oh, so you suppose that I could never be a woman who gets a fucking manicure?
Forget it. Forget it. Forget it. It's okay. I forgive you.
Shh!
You forgive me?
Hold on them a beat. Kathleen stands and walks out of the theater. Interior, Sony Lincoln Square Theater escalator, night. Kathleen on the down escalator. Frank scrambling to catch up with her.
What's going on?
Kathleen's upset.
Hey! What is it?
Exterior Columbus Avenue, night as they walk uptown.
Look, this has been a big week. You're closing the store and,
It's not that, Frank. Really. It's not. It's just, Frank.
I know. It was terrible of me.
What was?
To jump all over you when I'm the one who's really... Oh God, I don't know how to say this, and I'm vamping, and...
I'm just gonna I'm just gonna keep on. What is it? I'm sorry.
Exterior, Columbus Avenue, night. As we see Kathleen and Frank being served drinks in a glassed-in extension of a restaurant. Interior, Columbus Avenue restaurant, night. As Kathleen looked at Frank, waiting for him to begin.
You're a wonderful person, Kathleen.
So are you.
And I'm honored that you want to be with me because you would never be with anyone else who wasn't truly worthy.
I feel exactly the same way about you.
Oh God, don't say that. Please, that just makes it worse.
What? You don't love me?
Frank shakes his head, no.
Me neither.
You don't love me?
Kathleen shakes her head, no.
But we're so right for each other.
I know.
A long beat.
That woman on television, right? Sydney Ann?
Frank nods.
I mean, nothing's happened or anything.
I
Like,
think she's a Republican.
I can't help myself.
Kathleen pats him.
So sorry.
Ugh. What about you? Is there someone else?
Somewhere out there, I'm sure. Somewhere. Cyberspace.
Exterior, Kathleen's building, night. As Frank, carrying a typewriter, walks out off Kathleen's building and puts it into the back of a taxi cab. Exterior, shop around the corner, day. As a sign goes up in the window, closing this week, all stock 40% off. Interior, shop around the corner, later that day. The store is crowded. People are buying stacks of books. We hear brief snatches of conversation. Bertie telling a customer she's planning to travel. Christina saying she's finally going to have to finish her dissertation. George saying he's been offered a job at Fox Books, but even though it's okay with Kathleen, he wouldn't work there if it were the last place on the earth. There's a frantic rummage sale atmosphere. Kathleen, busy at the cash register, looks up for a minute at her beautiful store being ravaged by vultures. We hear the sound of the computer and hear her voiceover.
My store is closing this week. I own a store. Did I ever tell you that? Probably not. It's a lovely store.
The woman dumps a huge stack of books on the checkout table.
Ugh, this is a tragedy. Honey, grab a copy of The Trumpet of the Swan.
And in a week, it will probably be something really depressing, like a baby gap. I am being amazingly brave.
What are you going to do with yourself?
I don't know. I'm going to take some time. I have a little money saved. I'm looking forward to it. I'm so cheerful that I would make Pollyanna throw up.
I came here every Saturday when I was a little girl. I remember when your mother gave me Anne of Green Gables. Read it with a box of Kleenex. That's what she told me.
She's looking down on you right now.
I'm sure she is. I promised myself I'm not going to cry.
A fourth shopper approaches the counter with a stack of books up to his chin and manages to slide the stack on the counter.
Oh my God, I'm laughing at the chat. I'm so
We
sorry.
should bomb books.
It's not your fault. The truth is, the world it's just different.
She starts ringing up the sale. Exterior Fox Book Superstore night as Kathleen walks home.
Soon will just be a memory. In fact, some foolish person will probably think it's the tribute to this city. The way that it just keeps changing on you, the way that you can never count on it or something. I know, because that's the same sort of thing I keep saying. But the truth is, I'm heartbroken. I feel as if my heart is a part of my heart has died, and my mother has died all over again, and no one can ever make it right. Oh my God, this is so much like So New York. Oh God, I am literally losing my mind. Cool.
She stops in front of the window, watching the customers lined up to buy books. Exterior, Fox Books Superstore night. As Kathleen enters and looks around, she goes up the stairs. Interior, Fox Books Superstore, children's department. As Kathleen walked into it, it's huge, of course, with its reading area and stage and room for displays and child-sized furniture and so many books and so many customers. Kathleen sits down in a little child-sized chair, completely wilted. Kathleen from another POV, and now we see Joe watching her from a distance. She doesn't see him. A woman browsing stops a salesperson.
Eh, do you have the shoe books?
The shoe books? Who's the author?
Oh God, I don't know. My friend told me my daughter has to read the shoe books, so here I am.
Noel Stratfield. Noel Stratfield wrote the ballet shoes and the skating shoes and the theater shoes and the movie shoes. I'd start with the skating shoes. They're my favorite. Though the ballet shoes are completely wonderful.
Streetfield. How do you spell that?
Streatfeield.
Thank you.
As she walks
completely-
away,
Shut up. Stop.
It's literally written right there.
I know, I'm so mad at it. I was trying to act. I knew I was gonna fuck up at one point. Cool. All right. Ugh. Cool.
as she walks away,
Oh, I should read my line. Great. They know nothing. They know absolutely nothing.
on Joe as he watches her, we hear the sound of the computer. She starts out of the store and hold on to him, waving.
I'm sorry.
Please
Interior
laugh.
Joe's computer screen. A screen which says reply and which now reads, I'm sorry. Interior Joe's office, day. On Joe at his computer, staring at the screen.
A-hole.
He backspaces, deleting, starts typing again.
I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. Truly, I don't. Anything I do say will sound trite. I hope you feel better.
He sits there appalled at his own triteness. Exterior Joe's street night, as a taxi comes down the street and stops in front of Joe's building.
What was I thinking? What I was thinking was she'd probably make a great children's book either.
Why would you think that?
They get out of the cab.
She knows everything. She has flawless taste. She's famous for it. The salesmen swear by her. If she likes it, it sells, period.
Interior Joe's lobby continuous, as they enter the lobby and walk toward the elevator.
So you're gonna offer her a job
Why not? What else has she got to do?
now that she's destitute?
Thanks to you.
Well, I can't imagine her working for you.
Why not?
She has a horrible personality. She's nice to everyone all the time. It's exhausting. And her staff turnover is non-existent. They've been there forever. Until recently, when they all found out they were going to lose their jobs.
Thanks to you.
The elevator door is closing.
Oh, hold the elevator!
They get in. Interior elevator continuous.
Hello, Charlie. Veronica.
Last time we rode in the elevator, we made the deal of the century. What is going to happen this time?
Miss Grant's gonna get me a part in one of her movies. That's what's gonna happen.
In your dream, Charlie.
I love how you've totally forgotten you had any role in her current situation. It's so obtuse. It reminds me of someone. Oh, who does it remind me of? Oh, me.
The elevator suddenly stops.
Shit!
Shit.
Is it stuck?
Could be. He pushes the open button. Nothing. Turns the key, hits the open button, flicks the emergency switch. Then he starts hitting the buttons in every possible combination.
Charlie, what are you doing?
Bang the door.
Really?
Joe bangs the door. Nothing. I hope this thing doesn't plummet to the basement.
Can it do that?
No.
He picks up the phone.
This is Joe Fox. Who is this? Hi, Juan. We're stuck on the 6th floor. There are 4 of us.
And if you don't get your ass up here in 2 shakes and get us out!
He hangs up.
Are you all right?
It's hot.
Joe hands her his handkerchief. Everyone should jump in the air.
What?
We jump. The elevator thinks that no one is here and it opens. Everyone stares at each other.
1, 2, 3.
They all jump into the air. They all land. Nothing happens. Interior elevator a little later. Patricia is sitting on the elevator floor polishing her nails. We hear the fire department banging outside.
If I ever get out of here, I'm going to start speaking to my mother. She slept with Oscar, and maybe it was Oscar's fault. I don't know. And then she sold the story to Inside Edition. That could have been Oscar's idea too. Who knows? But I divorced him. I wonder what she's doing right this minute. I think of her whenever I hear about a new pill, ecstasy, Zoloft, Phenylephrine. I just think, I hope Mama knows about that.
Takes out a tissue and dabs at her eyes.
Maybe you can make up on Rosie. That would be great for the book.
If I ever get out of here,
If I ever get out of here, I'm having my eyes lasered.
I'm marrying Orit. I love her. I should marry her. I don't know what's been stopping me. He takes out his wallet and looks at a picture of Orit, shows it to Joe.
If I ever get out of here, I'm gonna...
He stops. He looks at Patricia, who's fishing through her purse.
Where are my Tic Tacs? What?
The firemen crowbar open the elevator door. Exterior 79th Street boat basin, night. Joe and Brinkley walk out on the dock towards Joe's boat. Joe is carrying Brinkley's pillow, his laptop, and a suitcase. He boards his boat and goes below. A light goes on. We hear the sound of the computer.
I came home tonight and got into the elevator to go to my apartment. An hour later, I got out of the elevator and Brinkley and I moved out. Suddenly, everything had become clear.
Interior boat, night. A small sleeping area with a berth and a little table, where Joe's laptop has been hooked up to the phone. Joe is on the narrow berth, as is Brinkley.
It's a long story, full of personal details we avoid so carefully.
Joe puts Brinkley on the floor, on his pillow. Brinkley jumps back onto the berth with Joe. Interior Kathleen's apartment, day. Kathleen is making tea. She starts toward the bedroom. We see her computer, now hooked up in the living room where all of Frank's typewriters used to be.
Also, my roommate just left, so that's a whole mood. All right, he's gonna go get some. Cool. I wonder whether change isn't a kind of infection. You start with one thing, something you never thought would change, and it does.
Interior
Yeah.
Kathleen's bedroom, continuous.
And the next thing you know, even your bed is in a different place.
Kathleen enters the bedroom and we see the entire room has been rearranged. She gets into bed and turns on the television set. Exterior shop around the corner, dusk. The bookshelves are empty.
6 months ago, voiceover. So let's just do that. 6 months ago, when you and I first met, I knew everything about myself, what I would be doing for the rest of my life, and even the person I would be doing it with. Now I know nothing.
On the door is a small sign. After 42 years, we are closing our doors. We have loved being part of your lives. Kathleen turns out the light in the store and opens the door. The little bell over the door jingles. Kathleen reaches up on her tiptoes for the bell and detaches it. Then she comes out of the store carrying the bell. Kathleen locks the door and reaches down to operate the grate for the last time. The grate starts to lower. Kathleen looks at her store one last time. Then she walks off carrying the bell. We hear it jingle in the night and hold on the shop around the corner, and it slowly turns into a computer-enhanced version of itself. And then suddenly it vanishes with a poof, leaving an empty screen. Exterior, a blue sky with a big computer sun shining in it, and pan down to a computer version of Columbus Avenue. The trees sprout leaves and birdies start to tweet, and the scene turns into a real version of exterior Columbus Avenue, Fox Books morning. Interior Fox Books Superstore day. George is now the head of the children's department at the store, and he's sitting in the children's section on an itty-bitty chair. His staff is sitting on little itty-bitty chairs too.
Then, in the 19th century, Caldecott revolutionized the publishing of children's books with the introduction of color illustrations.
We see the staff. Several are dozing. Exterior Riverside Drive and 72nd night. Joe walks past the Eleanor Roosevelt statue. He's with Annabelle and Matt.
What about going to the children's zoo?
I don't want to go to the children's zoo.
Okay, the Staten Island Ferry.
I want to go to the Storybook Lady.
What about you, Matt? What do you want?
What do I want?
Yeah.
What do I want? Yeah, yeah. What's personal?
What's personal?
Did I skip a line?
Yeah.
You want
I want to go to the Storybook Lady.
Well, we can't go to the Storybook Lady.
Interior Japanese noodle restaurant day. Annabelle is sitting in her chair, staring glumly at a bowl of Japanese soup and noodles.
I'll read you a story.
Where did she go?
She had to close her store.
Why?
She didn't have enough business.
Why?
Well, her store is very close to our store, and our store sells books at a slightly lower cost.
Why?
Why do we sell at a lower cost? So more people can buy books.
Why couldn't she sell that way too?
Because she's small and we're big. How about we get some candy?
So she's gone and it's all your fault?
It's business, Annabelle. It's not personal. How about we get so much candy you'll be bouncing off the walls for days?
What's personal?
Personal means that she's gone forever, and now we'll never get another book from her as long as we ever live.
She bursts into tears. Matt bursts into tears too.
Remember the man who worked with her?
No,
Well, I hired him.
you killed the Storybook Lady.
Matt throws himself on the ground, crying. Annabelle sobs hysterically.
Oh my god.
Interior Fox Books Superstore day. George is wearing the same pointed hat Kathleen wore as the Storybook Lady. There's a sign that says Storybook Person. Several children are listening. We see Annabelle. She's glowering. Interior Kathleen's bedroom night. Kathleen is in bed with a huge box of Kleenex. She has a terrible cold. Her nose is red, her eyes are watery. On the bedside table are a huge assortment of atomizers, pills, etc. We hear the sound of computer keys clicking.
Why haven't you written?
I have a cold.
Interior, Joe's office day. We see Joe on his computer.
How's your cold?
My ears are blocked. My nose is clogged.
Interior Kathleen's bedroom night. She's drinking cranberry juice. Joni Mitchell on the stereo. The sound of computer keys clicking again.
Are you feeling any better?
I'm lying in bed. I'm listening to Joni Mitchell. And I'm drinking cranberry juice, which I am sorry to say is the exact same color as my nose. I keep thinking about my future. What future? What am I going to do?
Exterior 79th Street boat basin late afternoon. As Joe is walking Brinkley back to the boat, a limousine has pulled up near the pier, and the driver is unloading bags. Joe stops to see the passenger. his father, Nelson Fox.
What are you doing here?
Exterior 79th Street boat base in dusk. Next to Joe's boat is a larger yacht. Interior yacht night. In the main cabin, Joe and Nelson are having drinks. Nelson lifts his glass in a toast.
To us.
Father and son, together at last. What happened with Jillian?
Nelson ignores the question.
I've stayed here after, you see. Your mother, Lorette, that ballet dancer.
The nanny?
Was she the nanny? I forgot about that. How ironic. And there was the ice skater.
Also the nanny.
Really? How amazingly ironic. Sybil, the astrologer.
Whose moon turned out to be in somebody else's house, as I recall.
Just like Jillian.
Jillian ran off with someone?
The nanny.
Nanny Maureen? Jillian ran off with Nanny Maureen? That's incredibly ironic.
True. True.
There's no other word for it.
Who did you break up with?
Patricia, you met her.
Would I like her? Just kidding. Isn't this great? Have some peanuts. Of course, I have to live out of a suitcase for at least 3 weeks, but there's the inevitable legal hassle, more of your inheritance down the drain.
Don't you worry about it.
I won't. But then I get to meet someone new. That's the easy part.
All right. Snap to find the one single person in the world who fills your heart with joy.
Ridiculous. Have you ever been with anyone who fits that description? Have you?
On to the next.
Isn't it a beautiful night?
Hold on, Joe. Exterior Kathleen Street day. Joe on his way to Kathleen's apartment building carrying a bunch of daisies wrapped in cellophane. Joe goes up the stoop to her building and looks at the buzzer. Sees Kelly, 3A. He presses. Nothing. Presses again.
Who is it?
Joe Fox.
Interior Kathleen's apartment, same time. Kathleen in her pajamas is at the intercom, horrified.
What are you doing here?
May I please come up?
It's really not a good idea.
Someone else walks up to the door, unlocks it, and walks in. Joe follows. Interior Kathleen's apartment, same time.
I have a terrible cold. Can you hear it? I'm sniffling. I'm not really awake.
Exterior Kathleen's apartment continuous, as Kathleen continues to talk through the intercom to an empty stoop.
And I'm sleeping practically 24 hours a day. And I'm taking echinacea and vitamin C. And so if it would really be, I would really appreciate it if you would, come some other time.
There's a knock on the door right next to her. Kathleen practically jumps out of her skin. She looks through the peephole. There he is.
Kathleen?
Just a second.
She puts on a robe, runs frantically about picking up various scattered wadded up Kleenexes, opens the front door. Joe is holding a bunch of flowers wrapped in paper.
Hello.
What are you doing here?
I heard you were sick and I was worried. And I wanted to, is someone here?
No, it's just the Home Shopping Network.
Bought any porcelain dolls?
I was thinking about it. You put me out of business.
I know that.
And now you turn up with flowers? Did you come to gloat?
No.
To offer me a job?
No, I wouldn't think of it.
Because I have plans. I have lots of offers. I have been offered a job by, well, actually,
My former.
Former?
We broke up.
That's too bad. You seem so perfect for each other. I mean, damn, you really seem so perfect for each other. I don't mean to say things like that. I am so sorry that I completely forgot the rest of my line. No matter what you have done to me, there is no excuse for my saying anything like that. But every time I see you, it's just,
Things like that just seem to fly out of your mouth.
yeah. I'm sorry. I'm starting over. Thank you for coming. Goodbye. Thank you for coming. Goodbye.
He starts to the door.
I bought you flowers.
Oh, thank you.
She takes them. He takes them back.
Why don't I put them in some water?
He heads for the kitchen, but beat while she stares after him, then follows. In the kitchen, when Kathleen gets to the kitchen, Joe is checking the kettle for water. He turns on the stove.
You're sick. You should sit down, please.
He pulls out a kitchen chair. Kathleen sits. She's a little woozy.
Do you have a vase, a vase?
Yeah, upper left fridge.
He gets out a vase or a vase, fills it with water.
George says hello. He told me you weren't feeling well.
How is George?
George is great. He's revolutionizing the place. No one is allowed to work in his department who doesn't have a PhD in children's literature.
He unwraps the paper around the flowers, daisies, puts them in a vase.
I love daisies.
You told me.
He puts the vase on the kitchen table. Kathleen plays with the petals.
They're so friendly. Don't you think that daisies are the friendliest flower?
I do.
When did you break up?
Oh, a couple weeks ago.
Everyone is breaking up. You, me, this other person that I know broke up with someone like a couple of weeks ago. In an elevator, actually. I think it was in an elevator or just outside it. It got stuck, I think. And suddenly everything became clear. And well, suddenly, well, shoot, I saw you at that coffee place. When I saw you at that coffee place, I was waiting for him and I was
Charming.
not charming.
Well, you looked charming.
The tea kettle whistles. Joe turns off the burner.
Tea?
Upper right.
He gets out mugs and tea bags and pours the water.
I was upset and I was horrible.
Honey.
Kathleen nods. He puts in 2 spoonfuls, gives it to her.
I was the horrible one.
True. Well, I have no excuse.
She picks up the daisies and carries them into the living room. Joe follows her. They both sit.
Whereas I am a horrible person and have no choice but to be horrible. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that because I am done saying horrible things, even to you, especially to you.
You did it again.
She claps her hand over her mouth.
I put you out of business. You're entitled to hate me.
I don't hate you.
But you'll never forgive me. Like Elizabeth.
Who?
Elizabeth Bennet in Pride and Prejudice. She was too proud.
I thought you hated Pride and
Or was she
Prejudice.
too prejudice. And Mr. Darcy was too proud. I could never. It was personal.
It was business. What is it that that's supposed to mean? Like, I'm so sick of that. All it means to me is that it's not personal to you, but it's not personal to me, but it's personal to people. It's personal to a lot of people. What's wrong with personable anyway?
Nothing.
I mean, whatever else is, anything is, it ought to begin by being personal.
Kathleen stands up, picks up the daisies.
Angry. Pew. Oop. Shit. All right, cool. We get to do that later. My head's starting to get fuzzy. I have to get back to bed.
They walk to Kathleen's bedroom, continuous. Kathleen puts the daisies next to the bed and gets into it. She fluffs up the pillows, pulls up the blankets, surrounds herself with Kleenex and Evian, and sneezes a gigantic sneeze.
Is that
Sure. Right. Why did you stop by? I forgot.
I wanted to be your friend.
Oh,
I knew it wasn't possible. I mean, what can I say? Sometimes a guy just wants the impossible. Can I ask you something?
what?
What happened with the guy at the cafe?
Nothing.
But you're crazy about him.
Yeah, I am.
Then why don't you run off with him? What are you waiting for?
Long beat.
I don't actually know him.
Really?
Yeah, we only know each other. Oh, God. You're not gonna believe this.
Let me guess. Let me guess. From the internet.
Yes.
You've got mail.
Yes.
Very powerful words.
Yes.
Joe sits on the edge of the bed.
I'm happy for him. Although, could I make a little suggestion? I think you should meet him. No. I take it back. Why meet him?
I hardly think I need advice from someone who.
He reaches out and gently claps his hand over her mouth and holds it there.
Please don't.
It's unexpectedly
Jeremy,
tender
stop
and sexy.
Don't. Jeremy, don't.
I concede. I bring out the worst in you. But let me help you. Not to say something you'll just torture yourself about for years to come.
Oh,
He
Jesus.
starts to smile and he removes his hand. They look at each other.
I hope you're better soon. It would be a shame to miss New York in the springtime.
Joe stands.
Autumn in New York.
No, get out. Thank you for the daisies.
He starts for the door.
You take care.
I will.
Goodbye. Beep boop beep.
Goodbye. Get the fuck out of my door.
We hear the door close. Hold on, Kathleen. Exterior, Central Park Day. Christina is running. She sees a good-looking male runner coming toward her. She has no hope that he will notice her and starts to look away as they get closer to one another.
Hi.
Hi.
He passes her. Christina can't believe it. She does a little dance of joy. The camera pulls back as we see her by the reservoir on a beautiful morning doing her little celebratory spin. Then she resumes her morning exercise, running on. Interior, the Singles Temple, Friday evening. Patricia comes in. The place is packed. There are hundreds of young Jewish New Yorkers singing folk songs and dancing the hora. The rabbi is dancing among them. Patricia sees the rabbi leading the dance. The rabbi, or rabbit, whirls madly toward her like a human dreidel.
Shabbat Shalom!
He grabs Patricia's hand, and to her surprise, they go whirling off together. Interior, Kathleen's bedroom, day. Kathleen at the computer, typing.
I have been thinking about this and I think we should meet.
She clicks the send button and then exits from America Online. On her computer screen, we now see the standard screen with several icons: American Online, Word, Recycle Bin, etc. She clicks Word. She goes to File, New. There are several choices of format. She stares at the choices, then she clicks Book Format. A blank page appears in the computer. She starts to type. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named. She pauses for a moment and looks around the room. She sees the flowers that Joe brought her, and then she types Daisy. As she goes on typing, interior Joe's boat night on Joe typing.
We should meet, and we will meet. But I'm in the middle of a project that needs tweaking.
A look of calculation on his face. Exterior Starbucks day. We can see Kathleen through the window drinking a cup of coffee. And now we see Joe walk into Starbucks. He waves at her, pretending surprise at seeing her. Has he been watching the store and waiting for her to come in? We'll never know. Interior Starbucks a few minutes later. He's sitting next to her at the counter in the window.
Tweaking?
That's what he said.
He's probably married.
That's a terrible thing to say. It's not possible.
Have you asked him if he's married? Have you said, "Are you married?"
No.
Joe looks at her, shrugs. Interior Kathleen's bedroom, night as she types.
Well, I know this. Is pop. I know this is possibly like a little late to like be asking, but are you married?
Interior Joe's office, night as he answers.
Am I married? What kind of question is that? How can you ask me that? Don't you know me at all? Oh, wait, I get it. Your friends are telling you the reason we haven't met is that I'm married. Am I right?
Interior Sidewalk Cafe, another day. Kathleen and Joe having nachos.
So he didn't actually answer the question. He didn't exactly answer.
He did too. He nailed me. He knew exactly what I was up to, which is just like him.
But he didn't exactly answer, did he? Did he?
No,
Maybe he's fat.
I don't care about that.
You don't care that he might be one of those guys who's so fat that he has to be removed from his house with a crane.
Well, that's very unlikely.
What else do you think he's putting off meeting you? Although maybe that's not it. Maybe
What?
never mind.
What?
He could be waiting till he's paroled.
Okay. You won't believe this. There was a moment when George thought that he was the rooftop killer, which was completely ridiculous.
Her voice trails off as she considers whether it could be true.
What's his handle?
She shakes her head.
Come on, I'm not going to write him. Is that what you think?
NY152.
152. 152. Very interesting. He's 152 years old. He has 152 hairs remaining on his head. He's had 152 moles removed, and now he has 152 pockmarks.
Exterior Farmer's Market on Broadway later, as they walk past tables of bread and flowers, etc.
His combined college board scores.
His IQ.
The number of women he slept with.
The number of times he's seen The Godfather.
Oh, that's the first good thing I've heard about him.
Well, his address. No. He wouldn't put something so prosaic.
On Joe, looking a little wounded.
The only thing I really care about besides the married thing and the jail thing is the boat thing.
The boat thing?
Yeah, well, I could never be with anyone who's on a boat, or who had a boat.
Oh.
So that clinches it. I guess we'll never be together.
Yeah, because I have a boat.
Yeah, well, I'll take care of these.
He picks up a mango and squeezes it.
I can never be with anyone who likes Joni Mitchell. It's Cloud's illusions, I recall. I really don't know Clouds at all. What does that mean?
Joe waits for Kathleen to say she likes Joni Mitchell, but Kathleen doesn't say anything. She starts intently picking over apples, trying to find some she wants.
How's your book coming?
Exterior Broadway day, as they walk away from the market going uptown.
Well, there's a children's book editor I know that's from the store. I'm gonna just casually sit here on this bench because I know that's where this is filmed in the movie. And she's excited to read it, and so like I'm gonna when I finish it, who would have ever thought I would write? I mean, who would have ever thought I would write? I mean, if I hadn't had all this free time, I would have never discovered this.
Stops. She realizes what she's saying.
Punch me in the face. God damn it. Oh shit. I have another line, don't I? Oh Jesus. The truth is, he was the one who had me started to thinking about writing. Oh God.
Oh, Mr. 152 felony indictments.
Cool. Mr. 152 insights into my soul.
Oh, yes. Well, there is no competing with that.
Well, I keep bumping into you. Hope your mango's ripe.
I think it is. Want to bump into me?
Want to bump
Saturday?
into me over there?
Yeah, sure. I would love to.
Oh man. Around lunch.
lunchtime.
Yeah.
Computer screen night as Joe types.
How about meeting Saturday? The first day of spring, 4 p.m. There's a place in Riverside Park at 88th Street where the path curves, and when you come around the curve, you'll find me waiting. Beep, boop, boop.
Oh,
Interior, exterior,
man.
Saturday. Gray's Papaya. The first day of spring.
Oh,
Kathleen and
it's
Joe are putting
papaya
mustard on their hot
dogs
dogs.
time. Oh God, I hate this. Okay.
Today?
All right.
Today?
Today,
Whoa.
I know, in Riverside Park.
Isn't that amazing? Maybe I've seen him, and I don't even know it.
Exterior Columbus Avenue day. As they walk uptown, eating their hot dogs and drinking papaya drinks.
He could be the zipper man.
Who's that?
This guy in Amsterdam who repairs zippers. You'll never have to buy new luggage. You'll travel for free. No 50
Oh
pounds.
shit, stop teasing.
Timing is everything. He waited until you were primed, until you knew there was no other man you could ever love.
Yes?
Sometimes I wonder.
What?
They stop walking. They look at each other.
If I hadn't been Fox Books, and you hadn't been the shop around the corner, and we just met,
Don't.
I would have asked you for your number. I wouldn't have been able to wait 24 hours before calling and asking, how about coffee or drinks, dinner, a movie? For as long as we both shall live.
Joe.
And then we never would have been at war.
No.
And the only fight we would have ever had is what video to rent on a Saturday night or Friday night.
Who fights about that? We could fight
Some
about
people,
any whatever night. It's
not
fine.
us.
We would never.
A long
If
beat.
only. If only.
Please, I have to go. I'm gonna take off my cardigan.
The move.
Let me ask you something. How come you'll forgive him for standing you up, and you won't forgive me for a little tiny thing like putting you out of business?
Kathleen looks at him, shakes her head. They look at each other.
Oh, how I wish
I
you would.
hate this. I hate this.
It's all
part.
Kathleen can do not to forgive him. It's all Joe can do not to kiss her.
Kiss her outside of the brownstone. Okay, anyway, I'm sorry. I really do have to go.
Yeah, well, you don't want to be late.
She's
Yeah,
in
fully will.
agony.
Yeah.
He turns and walks away. After a moment, she does too. Exterior Kathleen's apartment later, as we see Kathleen come down the street and walk into her house. Exterior Kathleen's apartment later, as she comes out of the apartment house having changed her clothes. Exterior
Yeah, she wore
Riverside
a
Drive,
skirt.
later afternoon, as she comes toward the entrance to the park. Exterior Riverside Drive Park, late afternoon, as Kathleen comes down a path in the park near 88th Street. She comes to a stop, looks around. A young woman in running clothes passes by. A young father pushing a baby in one of those strollers runners uses to push babies in. Kathleen looks at her watch. Suddenly she hears a noise, a dog barking, and Brinkley comes around the corner.
Brinkley! Brinkley!
And hold on Kathleen as she sees Joe, and she starts to cry. And he comes to her and puts his arms around her.
I
Oh.
dislike it.
Don't cry, shop girl. Don't cry.
Just wipe my fake ass tear. I wanted to be you. I wanted to be you so badly.
And as they kiss, we hold on them and crane up and away as we see them, a couple kissing in the park on a beautiful spring day. A dog is leaping around them. And as we get further and further away from them, the screen turns into cyberspace, and the dog turns cartwheels and flip-flops. And we tilt up to see the clouds in the sky and hear the sound of computer keys clicking, clicking, clicking.
Beep, boop, boop.
Fade out.
Oh my
Wow.
god.
And Rage Against the
Dang.
Machine starts playing.
So much love, so beautiful. Great
So
job. Great job to
much.
everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you for falling in love. If you didn't fall in love while watching it, you can email us here at the. Oh my God! Great news. We weren't recording, so let's start from the top. Let's go. We've already done this. Okay, goodbye. Thank you.